Hi everyone, and welcome to part 6 of my 2020 Crossing Newfoundland by ATV video series. On this day, both groups started at Cloudy Pond, but the July group traveled almost 145 kilometers, which is about 90 miles, to Serpentine Lake for another night of camping. The September group traveled about 200 kilometers, which is about 125 miles, to Robinson's. As per usual, there's a lot of scenic stops along the way. Let's get to it. We had great weather for both trips. The only difference was in September it was a little cooler that morning. There was a bit of dew in the grass and on our machines. And we took one last look around, packed up all of our gear. We made breakfast and then we hit the trail. Cloudy Pond Outfitters is a really great spot to spend some time. We're planning on coming back again already in 2021. In fact, it's January as I'm editing this, and we have our trip for this year planned already. When you leave Cloudy Pond Outfitters and head west like we were, you're going to take this goldish colored trail, and about 4 or 5 kilometers up the roads, about 3 miles, you're going to come across a water crossing. Do not go straight across. It can get really deep in the middle. There's a bit of gravel and stuff that's visible with rocks. Just go out that way a little bit, so just zigzag around and you'll have no problem getting through here. You can see the rocks pretty good. A quick tip for those of you planning on doing this trip. Once you leave Cloudy Pond, you can go straight down to Corner Brook, or when you get to Old Man's Pond, you can hang a right and go over to Goose Arm, which I suggest you do. It's a beautiful spot, and then go all the way down to Cox's Cove, and you can get gas down there too. That's a really pretty spot. Then backtrack out towards Old Man's Pond and then down to Corner Brook. It'll add about 30 miles or about 45 kilometers to your trip. So it depends on how much time you have, whether or not you want to do that. Break time's over. Time to make our way towards Cox's Cove. There's a nice waterfall just before you get to Cox's Cove as you're heading in, and there's a trail on the left. It's marked on my GPS map that you can get off my website. Just go to crossingnewfoundlandbyatv.com and you can see this map and download it for yourself for free.
I bet you when they come in on these, they come in good and hard, because there's no pulleys to get those up. Come in and with a bit of force and slide right up.
And just pull the motor up at the right time.
Yeah. Some slippery spot or some plastic there, right? To slide better.
Yeah.
This is Cox's Cove here, and a lot of times we come in because we like to ride in. The road is in really good shape, the dirt road that you drive in. It's lots of hills and turns, and some nice scenery here and there going through some valleys. And we get gas, come in, go along the shore here, and you get to see a lot of the fishing boats. And then we drive right to the far end, and there's like a hill at the end where you can get out and take some nice pictures. What's that?
A whale.
Oh, really?
Yeah, right out here. He came up out of the water a couple times.
The fella said they saw a whale a few times breaching out of the water, so I went up the top of the hill here to see if I could see it too.
Send the drone out.
Don't know if we'll get him.
Oh, there he is again.
Oh, he's putting the drone up. Knocking into it. Where'd you see the last?
To the left of that weird still water. Or to the right of the weird still water. You said he left. Right at your 12 o'clock is the last scene.
You're in sport mode, aren't you?
Yes, I was in sport mode. And I kept looking around left and right, left and right. The guys would call it out, oh, there it is over there, there it is over there. And I couldn't see it on the small screen on my phone through the drone, unfortunately. And I didn't end up getting it. But I did notice in the background 2 fishing boats coming towards me, so I sent the drone out towards them a bit and turned it around just to see them both go by at the same time. I thought it turned out to be a pretty good shot. Then we noticed what time it was. It was almost noon, I believe, and we decided to hit the trail because we wanted to get to Serpentine Lake with lots of daylight left because it's such a nice spot, so we could do some exploring there. Where's that sport button at? I'm trying to figure out here how many more kilometers we have till we get to Serpentine Lake. For the last few days, Chad was noticing a ticking noise from the front end of his Honda Pioneer, so we checked to see if there was a Honda dealer, and there happened to be one right around the corner from where we were at, Twin Peaks Motorsports. It was only a few hundred meters away, so we drove up, and you know, to their credit, those guys were great. They knew we were from out of town, crossing the province. They came out and took a look at his machine in just a few minutes, and it turns out it was nothing big at all. There was something stuck up in there. Like I always say, typical Newfoundlanders, they'll go out of their way to give you a hand. It's one of the reasons why we keep coming back to this province. We've got so many good stories. One of these days I'm going to do a video telling you guys how many different people we've run into over the years that have given us a hand when we needed it. Oh man, I found the sinky sand that Bruce got stuck in the last time we were here.
Nice sandy, though.
Yeah. Should have just went where you went first.
Oh well.
It's all good.
This stuff was like quicksand. That sand really had a hold of us. I'm glad I wasn't driving by myself getting stuck in that.
Crazy sinky.
Time to set up camp. Man, look at all that dust. It's like talcum powder.
Camera's good, but it's not an action camera.
For Christmas this year, Mrs. Crossing Newfoundland by ATV bought me a really nice North Face backpacking tent that I will be using this summer. It takes about 5 minutes to set it up, rather than the month of Sundays that it takes for the 6-person tent that I have now. This is such a calm, peaceful place here. A few of the fellas said that Serpentine Lake was by far their most favorite spot in Newfoundland on the trip. If they could only go back to 1 or 2 places and do it again, this is definitely on the top of their list. As you can see, there were other people around, but they were far away from us. This is the west side of Serpentine Lake. Normally in the past we camp around this area, but because the water was so low this year, because it was dry, we were able to drive way over to here. Now, another thing we were able to do this year that we haven't done before is drive down the riverbed here. So a couple of the fellows went up all the way to this waterfall that's over here that normally you can't drive an ATV to. Wait till you see the color of the water here. I didn't change that. That's the way it looked when Bruce gave it to me off the drone. We were so lucky that the weather held out for us. Both nights we camped there was no rain. It was calm, wasn't even windy hardly at all, and it was just great. Just the perfect weather for this type of camping. Time to check in with the September crew and see how they're making out. We'd been to Goose Arm several times, so after we left Cloudy Pond, we decided to try to get a view of Goose Arm from the other side. We drove over here looking for trails, and we found one. We wasted quite a bit of time trying to find one, but we finally did. That took us out into the Narrows here, so we got some video of that, which was pretty nice, but then we had to backtrack, and it wasted a lot of time. I wouldn't do that part again. This was the trail we finally found that took us to the other side of Goose Arm, but it's a nice trail, and it was fun driving on it, but like I said, I wouldn't do it again just because it took us way out of our way and it wasn't on our route. We had to backtrack way too much. Once we left this area, we decided to put some serious miles behind us because we were way behind schedule and we didn't want to get into Robinson's too long after dark. So we just hammered down and went all the way south, past Corner Brook, almost all the way to Stephenville Crossing before we started playing around a bit. These sand dunes are just south of Stephenville Crossing on your way to Robinson's, and they're just way too much fun to not drive through. If you go through these sand dunes and you're the first one through in your group, make sure you go slow because there's lots of hidden turns and curves that you just can't see past, and there could be somebody coming the other way. We had to run the rail bed after dark for a bit just because we were behind schedule. We don't really like to do that because of animals, but we get there, you know, and man, we've been going to Pirates Haven for years, and we stay at their cabins. The food is always great. The owners, Paul and Ruth, are fantastic people, and right across the street from there is this big bluff called Robinson's Head, and the scenery from there is just unreal. I can't recommend this place enough. Come and spend a few days with them. They will take you on some of the best ATV tours in the backcountry that you wouldn't be able to find on your own. They've done that for us a few times, and we always have a lot of fun. Even if you're following the information on my website and you've planned your trip around the island on your own, there are places that Paul and Ruth will take you that are not anywhere on my website. If you want to plan this trip yourself, you can use my information on Crossing Newfoundland by ATV.com. Everything you need to know is there. If you go to the planning page, I have several trips already laid out day by day. All you have to do is read through and see which one you want to do. Do you want to go for 5 days, 6 days, 7 days, 8, 9, whatever? It's all in here. Where to stay, where to get gas, where to eat. If you go to the GPS section, you can come over here and see the map that I'm using. Take a look around, scroll in, and you can see all kinds of details on the map. And you can also click right here to download them. So you can put them on your GPS or a smartphone or a tablet like I use. I volunteer my time to put this website up. It's kind of a hobby for me, but it also is very time consuming and sometimes expensive running the website. So if you wouldn't mind if you use this to run your own trip, please come down to the main page and you can go to a PayPal link or e-transfer to make a donation to help me pay for it. Thanks for watching, everyone. And if you liked what you saw, please consider clicking the like button and the subscribe button. And stay tuned for part 7, the final video in the series where we leave Robinson's and head back to the ferry in Port aux Basques with a few great stops in between.